The top stories now. Let's focus on this one. South Africa's Tshepo Mahloele is the new patron in Africa for the global citizen movement. The announcement was made in Johannesburg recently, with Mahloele, of course, accepting the appointment. He's pledging to work hard to mobilize governments, corporations and other world players to commit to the campaign that is fighting extreme poverty. Mahloele will occupy the office for the next 3 years. He's joining us now in the studio. Mr. Mahloele, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Congratulations, Mr. Mahloele, in order or not?
Thanks. I mean, thanks for having me. You know, Dr. Moyan, it's glad to be able to unpack that. But I think it's something that I'm looking forward to play a role in, to, as it were, do one's bit, you know, towards this initiative, you know, together with global
I mean, doing good has been really emphasized as something key for us in the world in the wake of the pandemic, I guess.
Yeah, I think, and, you know, we've also seen what the pandemic has done. But besides the pandemic, you know, we know the condition that the continent finds itself in. You know, as South Africans, we also know, like, the condition that we as South Africans find ourselves in. And so, therefore, getting other resources other than just, like, you know, waiting for public sector to do its bit, I think it's also incumbent upon us, you know, as other citizenry to do and join in alleviating some of that plight and saying what is it that can be brought to the table to address some of these issues within all our sort of, like, you know, different specialities.
Yeah, a patron for Africa. Your focus will be working as a patron for the continent in Global Citizen, not just for South Africa.
No, not just for South Africa. As you know, we've been, you know, investing across the whole continent. You know, in terms of, like, you know, my one, you know, platform. We've been, like, you know, mobilizing capital resources and, like, you know, doing developmental projects across the continent for over 2 decades. And I think some of that ability that one has sort of, like, you know, been able to, like, amass with, you know, being able to bring together capital resources, being able, like, to get to bring together partners from the private sphere to partner with the public sphere to deliver on some of this. Some of, like, you know, the learnings that one will bring, you know, upon, you know, this role.
3 years is a short time, though, but you can do a lot in 3 years at the same time.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to bring to the table as a patron for Africa, for Global Citizen, over the next 3 years?
Okay. I think 3 years, like, is a short time, but the issue is, like, you know, you need different people to come to the party. But for now, what I believe needs to be done, and why I'm excited to be a part of this, is because it's now again placing Africa at the table in terms of bringing its issues to the fore, in terms of, like, you know, telling those stories from our angle and presenting, like, you know, our, you know, peculiar sort of, like, circumstances, so that, you know, in the decision-making places across the world, we are not left, you know, out of that, not taking into account our context. You know, we can say 3 years is a short time, but a lot can be done. But it does not stop or start or end with me. There's been work which has been done before. I mean, Global Citizen has been doing this now for 10 years.
But the levels of poverty keep on getting worse. I mean, the world is still faced with extreme poverty. Yeah. If you look at KwaZulu-Natal floods just last week, the challenges that are exposed there with people living in informal settlements, and we know in Southern Africa, just as a whole, in the last decade, the number of informal settlements across the region has more than doubled, for example. South Africa today is the most unequal society in the world. And you look at conflict in parts of Africa, whether it's West Africa or East Africa, Ethiopia, it's just like the headache, if I can call it that, or the tragedy of poverty is huge.
And it has not gotten any better, besides all the talk. And I think, for me, why this becomes key is that it's about, you know, taking action. You know, it's not why Global Citizen Movement, I know, so, like, agreed to this, and I'm very happy to be a part of, because it's a movement of action takers. people who are saying, let's get things done. They agitate for action, they agitate, for policies, they agitate for the right intervention by using this whole movement to do that. And what I am most, interested in terms of bringing to the party is that actually agitating more upon the leadership of this continent, from Cape to Cairo. But not only from a public sector point of view, but also from a private sector point of view. Because it's one thing to say, what we expect of, governments to do, but it's also another thing, what then do we do, within those environments where there's that lack of perhaps action and not be victims. Because I think for me, it's like for Africans to stop being victims in this whole game.
Yeah. No,
and say, what is it then that we do to get everybody participating or do their bit?
From a global citizen platform, I think, yeah. And we wish you well. But I can't let you come, Mahloele rather, I can't let you into the studio and let you go without asking a question about SAA. Because it was top of mind now when I was talking to the portfolio committee, and you are chair of Takatso Consortium, which is part of the SAA deal. My editor would kill me if, for example, I didn't ask you that. I'm joking. I'm joking, by the way. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But very seriously, where is that deal at, and why do we still get a sense there's so much secrecy around it? The portfolio committee in Parliament now telling us they're going to meet SA tomorrow. They'll be asking questions around it. What can you tell our viewers now about it? Because SAA is a public good, after all. You are coming from the private sector. You are now partners with the government in this.
I'm glad you recognize that there's some public good being done in that regard. But Ndademoyane, say that we deal with this issue. Where I come from, it's also an issue of how then do we get capital to be responsive to some of the challenges. And I think in my role right now, and I will come to the SAA one, I see this as part of all the stuff that we've done across the continent. The aviation sector is part of the infrastructure of any economy that needs to be addressed. And in this case, we have one that is dismally not been performing to the level that it needs to be doing that. And, we have assets within this space, within the aviation space, from airports, and that across the continent. So therefore, when this opportunity arose, and just for information, not the first time we looked at, buying an airline. I think in the last 2 years, this is one second one that's bidding for. But with respect to this one, we believe that there is a real opportunity in enhancing the whole aviation space of the country, first and foremost. And then this and the benefits of getting SAA again up in the air. I think, for the country, for tourism, for jobs, for hard currency is immense, and also for bringing back some of the industry space on the industrial side of where you find something like SAA Technical. We have been engaged with discussions with DPE in this regard. We think that those discussions are well advanced. From where I sit, perhaps because I'm involved, I don't think that there has been that secrecy as if it were, because I think what needed to happen was that a transaction needed to be negotiated and agreed upon. The extent of, I think, engagement by the various departments, I think, which is what was alluded to, I think has been responded to by the relevant department. But we believe that where we are right now, we have now gotten to an agreement whereby we say, we're going to acquire.
So the deal is
close
to be concluded.
The deal is close to being concluded, because once you've signed, as you know, you're going to have conditions that you must still meet, prior to financial close.
There are always precedent conditions.
Yes, conditions whereby you must do your competition filing, you must do some applications.
So that's still to come?
That's still to come,
okay, so
to the Civil Aviation Authority.
I just needed to get this question to you, Mr. Mahloele, but with the time that we have, unfortunately, we've got the KwaZulu-Natal situation still developing. I wish we had more time with you, but thank you very much for indulging me with that last question. It's important to let South Africa know that there will be a deal soon for SAA, and you are part of that deal. Okay, thank you very much. That's Tshepo Mahloele, Africa's patron to global citizens, and of course he's the chairman of the Takatso Consortium that is part of the SAA deal. He's just told us that that deal is close to be concluded. An agreement has been signed, but there's still a number of steps to come ahead.